Hi everyone, my name's Monica with Sweetfake.com, and today we're going to make a really cute cupcake cookie. Fake, of course, because that's what I do. We are starting with some dough-colored clay, and then we're going to be using our cupcake cookie cutter. I have already added some cornstarch to this clay because it was too sticky and I was having a hard time cutting it out without it sticking to my cutter. And I actually think I might add a little bit more cornstarch to the cutter itself here in just a couple minutes. Just roll that out to a normal sort of cookie size. Remember that with air dry clay it will shrink some. I don't like mine too thick because I'm going to be adding additional layers of clay to finish my design. And there we go with the cornstarch. That's better. But as you can see, even now it still needs a little bit of help. Don't worry, as long as you can get it out of the cutter, you can always add just a smidge of cornstarch to your fingers, or just press the clay down with your fingers till you get a nice finish around the edges. I also don't worry about that extra cornstarch that's around that's on the clay. Once you go to stick the other to it, you will not notice it. And if there is some at the end, you can just use a baby wipe, or once you do it with your Mod Podge, you will never ever see it. Next, we're going to use some white clay, and we're going to do the same thing. I use the cutter just to cut out the topper for the cupcake. Here I'm using my X-Acto knife to try to cut a curve in the bottom. It was still really sticky, as you can see, so the knife was kind of sticking, but it doesn't really matter. Once you get it to the approximate size, you're good to go. And then for the bottom part, I'm going to add some purple. So I guess you could say that kind of looks like the cupcake liner, and it'll be in purple. Again, this clay was way too sticky for me to work with. So I ended up having to add some more cornstarch to it, and it still was very hard to work with. You'll notice as the video continues that I had to sort of freehand. I tried to get the right shape, and I was going to try to use the cookie cutter to cut the bottom half, but it just was not working for me at all. So I finally gave up, and I just sort of freehanded it. I put the clay on there and just kind of pushed it up into the little curves that I had created. And once I got around to the edges far enough, I just simply used a pair of scissors to cut off the excess purple clay. This part was a little bit frustrating for me. Um, I'm finding it's really difficult to work with clay that's too sticky. And I'm not quite sure. I'm in a very humid climate, and I don't know if that's what's affecting the stickiness of my clay. Because I used it during the wintertime to make creations, and it didn't seem to have this problem, but it seems to be now. And of course, I'm working, it's summertime here where I'm at in the south, and it's, 85, 87 degrees with 90% humidity. So that very well might be a factor. Anyhow, like I said, I just ended up freehanding it because it just wasn't working for me. Also, as long as the clay is sort of semi wet while you're using it, it will stick to itself. So there's no need to use glue necessarily. I will be using glue later when I put the ghost eyes on because that particular area of the white had already gotten a little bit dry, so they weren't quite sticking. Here's where we're going to grab our green clay, and we're going to be creating which fingers that will be wrapping around the cupcake like she's holding it. Any kind of green will work, whatever color that you prefer. This is just straight out of the bag, but you could make it a bit more limey colored or neon if you prefer. And we're going to just be making 3 fingers, 1 thumb and 2 other fingers, and we're going to attach those to the purple. There's really no rhyme or reason to these fingers. I basically looked down at my hand and said, they're a little thicker towards the back and a little narrower towards the front. And I just kind of estimated what size would fit onto that cupcake. Just freehand it and figure it out as you go. If you're not happy with it, just try again. Something to keep in mind when you're making your fingers is that you will need to space them out and keep them far enough apart that you'll be able, because I'm going to be adding little orange fingernails to them. So I don't want them too close together. I want to be able to put the fingernails on them and not have them bump into each other. You'll see that in just a moment. Once I got the fingernails on, I decided that I needed to create some kind of a nail bed so that I could put the fingernails on and they would look like they were part of the finger. I just used my rolling pin to make that indent here. You could use whatever you want, but the rolling pin seemed to work pretty good for me. By the way, thank you for being here and watching my video. I appreciate you. If you are interested in learning more about fake baking, I do a lot more tutorials that are very simple. You can find me on YouTube as well as on TikTok and Instagram. And if you would like to, please visit my page, sweetfake.com, and follow, like, and we'll become friends. Also, as we're finishing up this last fingernail, I wanted to let you know that this item and many, many others are available in my Etsy shop if you're interested in purchasing. This would be a super cute addition to your other fake bake designs as a topper or maybe a wreath attachment, or just sitting on in your tier tray or on a small pedestal. Now, I did add nail art to the nails after I was finished, and right where that line is between the white and the purple, I also hot glued on some sprinkles. I just thought it made it look more finished, and I think that you'll find that you'll like it too. But hey, this is your creation. I'm here to show you how to do a simple fake bake using some air dry clay, and it's up to you to create whatever you like, just like I do. Just a little background on me. I opened my Etsy shop a few years ago when COVID hit, and I found myself bored at home with not a lot to do. I've been a crafter my entire life, and I love all things crafty. You could give me anything. The only thing I think I haven't done is leatherwork and maybe candle making. But everything else, oh my goodness, I've done a lot of it. And I absolutely love it. So I continue to craft throughout retirement here, and my Etsy shop is just a way for me to try to make back some of the money that I use for materials and such. Now, my husband, on the other hand, would like it to become a little bit more successful. And, but, I just enjoy what I do. And I'm very, very grateful for you being here and watching my tutorial today. If you get a chance, check out my page, check out my Etsy shop. And in the meantime, again, this is Monica from sweetfake.com, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you.